You've been involved with the business for, well, probably right from day one, because your father was the founder.
From day one, but not always in the business.
Okay. What made you go into to follow the old man's footsteps?
There's actually four. I'm one of four. I'm the only one in the business. I have a genuine passion for. You cut me in half. I'm a hospitality person through and through.
Perfect. And always been like that. Always like looking after people.
Oh, I did. I did do a stint in a bank for a year, and that was deliberately to work in a different industry and realised how much I hated it and how much I loved hospitality.
Yeah, and you need that sometimes, don't you? I think.
100%.
Yeah.
And with a family business, it's also important to work outside.
Yeah.
And I think people that go straight into family businesses. So I also worked at Savoy, which I'm sure we'll talk about because there's a link later. I worked for Four Seasons.
Okay.
Lived in the States for a bit. Worked for Sheraton. Went to Cornell, the summer program for hospitality. So spent quite a few years
really
outside.
Learning all aspects of the trade.
Yeah.
In nearly every. I remember when I first met you, you'd probably done everything from bellboy to pot wash up to, running the whole thing.
Yeah, it's one of those trades. You don't need to be an expert in every area, but it's really helpful to have a real understanding of the mechanics of each area and empathy of some of the jobs are pretty tough, like being a kitchen porter or a chambermaid. So you need to have an understanding of what good looks like, what it takes to make it good, but also the effort and the physicality of it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I had some amazing people work for me when I was at Lomond and St Andrews. But I can't cook. I would burn a salad, but I had some amazing chefs work for me. But I knew the questions to ask because I've been in the kitchen to watch and understand what they needed to do. So I could always relate to them. It's a bit like greenkeeping as well. I've never really cut greens or I've raked enough bunkers, but the agronomy side of things is really quite technical. So, but understanding the right questions, especially at budget time, when they're looking for a few more pennies, and just making sure that you're managing the whole business really and understanding the whole business and having really good people that you can empower to go and do stuff that's much better than you can do.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's having enough knowledge to ask the right questions.
Yeah. It just gets those people realising that, it's probably a question I don't want him to ask.
Yeah.
Because I've got to find an answer which he might not like.
Yeah.
Or he may sort of go, okay, well, I'm not sure about that. Let's dig into it a bit further. Rather than go, okay, that's fine. And it might have been the wrong thing to do for the business.
Yeah. And also, as you say, it's surrounding yourself with people who are better. I'm not the best chef in the business. I'm not the best greenkeeper. Yeah. I'm not the best sales and marketeer. I'm not the best operator. But if you have brilliant people in each of those areas, you're going to deliver a great product.
Exactly. So Grapes and Greens, we always start with a wine, and I know that you're passionate about wine, and I know, rather like Wine and Earth, you've invested time, effort, money, and love in becoming B Corp. Something that's really passionate to you, and we actually went through Ian Waddington, your purchasing director, to get him to choose a wine from our portfolio, and he very cleverly chose a wine that was one of our most sustainable from Sicily. It's an unusual grape, actually. Nero di Avio from Sicily, as I say. The vineyard has been there for 600 years. It's only 44 hectares, and 27% is of vines. The rest of it is just pure woodland, and it's biodynamic. And I think the more that I understand the difficulty in producing a wine under those conditions, the more I appreciate it. And I think if we taste it, I think we'll both agree it's a really nice One, it's an unusual grape that I haven't tasted before, but I think it's a very well-made wine with a super aftertaste, and comes out £26 on our retail on our website.
That has got beautiful, beautiful flavour, good length. That's a really nice wine.
It's a really nice wine. We've got 320 of those from 14 different countries with 90 producers, and we call our producers our families, which I really quite like as well.
There's something about sustainable growers, and there's something about the care that they... I mean, all winemakers put care into their wine, but when you get someone that's biodynamic, you realise how much extra, how the extra effort they have to put in to produce a wine and still produce a quality. And I think in many cases, this is a great example. It actually enhances the quality because you haven't got any sulfates or any. You can quite often taste the sulfates in mass-produced wine or.
And I think that makes a difference. And I think certainly from a wine and earth perspective, we, again, going through B Corp, you have to be transparent, and the 60 questions that we ask of all our producers on how they make their wine is fascinating, but it also makes them think about their whole, well, transparency, but their winemaking process as well. And I think that's really important. Why did you go through B Corp? And you were probably the first hotel chain to be B Corp?
First UK hotel.
UK. Okay.
Hotel or hotel group to get, and we're just finishing our recertification, so every 3 years.
Yes, absolutely.
So we're massively improved our score. But I think for me, I'm quite passionate about stakeholder capitalism in the sense of it's fine to make a profit. I think a lot of sort of green people, it's a horsehair approach that you kind of, it's bad, but actually it's every business is there to make a profit. It's how you make that, and it's looking at the lens of your people and the planet. So if you're making a biodynamic wine and you're not putting rubbish chemicals into the earth, it all has an impact. So and I also think you can curate. At the end of the day, we're not in the hotel business. We're in the business of curating experiences. So if I'm there to do that, how can I enhance the experience by doing the right thing? So a wine that I brought along is Ridgeview. So we've partnered with a fellow B Corp, Ridgeview. We've planted 5.2 hectares of grapes at South Lodge, one of our hotels. And not only are we going to make, English wines now are amazing, or sparkling wines particularly, they're world class. But then not only are we growing grapes and making a wine, we're partnering with Pellegrims, which is we're making out of the vines and the vine leaves, we're making shampoo, conditioner, body wash, and we're in the spa, we're doing leaf wraps, we're doing, so you can have a Chardonnay leaf wrap, we're going to be making gin and grappa, back to the Italian heritage. Although my ops director says just stick to the gin, but I think maybe it's a personal supply of grappa. But so you're sitting on the terrace of the Reeds, which is one of our new sort of sweet products at South Lodge. You're looking at a vineyard. You're drinking the wine from that vineyard. You're then going and you're washing your hair with shampoo made from that. Our impact on the planet is lighter because we're B Corp and we've thought about every bit of that customer experience. And so for me, it's a win-win, and I think you can get a competitive difference by caring, you can...
And being transparent,
Yeah.
I think, as well. And not, as you, I think quite rightly just summed up there, it's not all about profit. You know, you've got to be profitable to be sustainable.
Yeah,
So you've got to make
100%.
a profit. However, that doesn't come at all costs, and it doesn't come at cutting costs as well. You know, you have to believe in experiences and looking after the people who are coming to your hotels or to your golf facilities. That's what I've kind of learned.
Yeah.
And being completely transparent and being open to believing that you're looking at everything in your business in order to make the planet, but also your community better, I would say.
100%. And it's interesting you say community, because there's 5 pillars to B Corp, and community is one of those pillars. So if you're a winemaker, how are you helping the local community? In our case, we have a couple of communities. We have a hospitality community. So we're at the Manor House. We did a golf day for Hospitality Action. That's our hospitality community that we donated the golf course for food. We've got local communities that the teams pick a charity and we give volunteering days, and we have all of our food waste, which used to be waste, we partner with Olio, so we're now feeding local families with, if we have a big golf day and there's some food left over, it gets sent straight out. It gets packaged up as meals, picked up by a local volunteer, goes to the local community. Olio have made sure where it's going, that it's a family that needs it. And last year we gave 11,000 kilos of food to local families around all of the properties. Now that takes a tiny bit of time and effort from the chef's behalf, but they really enjoy doing it, and it's back to that the pillars of sustainability.
Absolutely, and in a way, staffing is not easy to get, and if you've got community who have literally been helped to be fed by a hotel, they're more likely to say, actually, why don't you go and work there and learn a trade, and again, within the community, make sure that money stays in the community as well.
And that is absolutely the side benefit of caring and participating is that staff retention. And it's trite to say, but people are your greatest asset. I can have a lovely building that blows you away when you drive over the bridge here, but if the people aren't warm, welcoming, genuinely caring, so we have to do the same for our teams. We had we own a pub in the village that's part of the Manor experience. It's a great pub, and I'm sure we'll talk about different experiences in a bit. But they cook breakfast, so we give everyone a volunteering day. They took their volunteering day. We donated the food. They went and cooked a local hospice breakfast and lunch for the day, and that day for them was so impactful because not only are we that the local charity for this hotel, but they can physically contribute in time and effort to that charity, and then it becomes even more meaningful to them.
Complete recycle, isn't it?
100%.
No, it's fascinating. And I think that's one of the reasons I joined Wine and Earth, because it was completely transparent and they believed in really giving something back. Yes, we've got to make profit, but it's making sure that community and we grow together. You know, so our customers, we want to grow with you for a long period of time. We train you in our wines so that you can sell more wine. We don't really give discount, because at the end of the day we think we're giving you the best prices as well. You know.
I think also it becomes a virtuous circle in the sense that, so we monitor our supply chain, and we have quite rigorous, once again it's part of being a B Corp, so we have every year increased our spend with B Corps, not just because they're B Corps, but we know that they're doing the right thing to their local communities for the planet in terms of chemicals, pesticides, etc. And so every year and I think it becomes this virtuous circle, because the more we reward B Corps by buying from them, and that supply chain is doing the same thing, and that's the reason why there's more and more B Corps in the UK, in the world.
We've partnered with Mashi Golf, and we took 24 of their VIPs to a restaurant in Mayfair in London, and we had one of our wine producers come over from California, great guy, and Dale Agar, our CEO, got up and just introduced a little bit about Wine and Earth and mentioned B Corp, and that we were certified in March of last year. And you got a round of applause because people realised it meant something, how difficult it was. And probably the average age in the room was probably 45, something like that, all had their own businesses and either considered it or were going through it and realised it's not an easy thing to do either.
Yeah.
So
it's really tough, but that's really the benefit.
Tough. But it matters. And 40 years, you've got 7 hotels, and then you've got the pub as well. Is that how it works? So is it,
so we're now 7 hotels, 1 cookery school, 1 pub, 1 golf course, 2 spas, 3 Michelin-starred restaurants.
Yeah.
Well, that's double counting because they're part of the hotels.
Okay. That's a big portfolio and growing, because you literally moved into the Birmingham area as well.
Yeah, so Anstey is our latest Anstey Hall Hotel in the village of Anstey between Coventry, Birmingham. It's 40% of our business is UK PLC meetings. So if you've got an away strategy day, and we were getting, I think most UK companies, or a lot of UK companies, they've got an office in Manchester, Birmingham, London, Brighton, and they're looking for somewhere in the middle of the UK, and Anstey is literally in the middle of the UK.
Right.
So we were getting a lot of demand for our sort of quality of product. So we bought it. We 3/4 of the way through refurbishing it. All the meeting rooms have been done, the lounge areas, the restaurant, the new food and beverage concept. So it's quite exciting times for us.
You think, is that the stop? You're looking at adding more in the future? Is that the plan, the 5-year plan?
It's about, we don't necessarily, it's not about world domination, or we want to be just really good at what we do, and that whole, our purpose is creating happiness in amazing places. So from a customer's point of view, everybody's version of happiness is different. So for you, it might be playing an amazing round of golf on an amazing golf course, and then going to the pub that's got the best local beers, beautiful Sicilian biodynamic wine. So it goes back to, I'm probably not a hotelier anymore. I need to curate different experiences, and so a lot of our developments, although we bought Anstey, we for example, we just Lainston, we've just expanded the cookery school, and we partner with Big Green Egg and Gosney Ovens, and we have an outdoor cookery school, and for some people their definition of happiness is doing a beef brisket on a green egg. And so the answer to your question, of course, you've almost got to expand nowadays to stay ahead of all the boring stuff like cost increases, but we want to do that through adding new experiences, and sometimes we're adding new bedrooms. Lainston, we've got beautiful listed dovecot that we're going to turn into a honeymoon suite, so that adds a bedroom to Lainston.
You mentioned, when I was speaking to Elliot, he was kind of highlight the reeds at South Lodge.
So that's 8 uber luxury 2-bedroom suites.
I've had a look at them on the website. They look amazing.
They are I don't think there's anything quite like
No,
it
I haven't seen anything like that.
in the UK. So you get buggied to them. They are, we've made sure, so they're uber sustainably built, but that doesn't mean they're not very, very luxurious. And you get 2 bedrooms, you get terrace overlooking a lake where you can do wild swimming. And by the way, the lake also has water source heat pumps in, so the water is providing some of the heating and cooling. Timber frame, the fabrics are made from recycled fabrics. But at the end of the day, you're sitting south-facing, overlooking a lake, and with the best technology in a private suite. With we have one of my favourite bits is we made sure that there's a room service hatch, because quite often people, they just want to get away from it. And this old-fashioned sort of service, which is very intrusive, and someone knocking on your door. So you get your room service breakfast, which is this homemade sourdough, croissants, jam from a lady down the road, and it's delivered in a basket. But there's a hatch, so it gets so no one comes into your room. And we've had a few high-profile people stay recently. And they stayed there for 3 days and they didn't leave, really? Because that's their version of happiness, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm really proud of that product.
I was talking to Mark Hayton just the other day about Foxhills and how you keep ahead. And how long would that project from start to finish take, where you kind of think we need something, we're after this product, then looking into building it, and then launching it? How long do you think that whole period was?
So one of the challenges of doing business in the UK is the planning laws.
Yeah.
So we started planning the spa. Our spa at South Lodge opened in 2019, and the Reeds was part of that planning. For various reasons, we did the spa first, then the Reeds. But that took 6 years through the planning process without any objections from locals. Back to community, we've got a good relationship. And the UK planning is really cumbersome and slow, and
totally agree.
Especially when you've got, for us, heritage buildings. 4 of our properties are Grade 2 listed, and we obviously want to be amazing custodians of those buildings.
But that needs money.
But that's money,
We've got to earn
time,
money.
And to your point, also what it is if you're trying to pick what's ahead of the curve. So we put a wild swimming pond in the spa. It was the UK first heated wild swimming pond. But in that 6 years of planning, where we conceptually thought of that, other people were that they hadn't quite nipped in, because it was the first heated one. But then we were also going to turn the lake next to the Reeds into wild swimming, and that was unheated. So it's a 50 that it's 54 meters of wild swimming, and it's an amazing experience. But in the interim, 10, 20, 30 lakes popped up in the UK doing it. So it's kind of, you've got to really try and think, what is the landscape going to be in any given area?
And that's the art of being a leader. Understanding, as you said, I'm maybe not a hotelier. I'm actually looking at ways of providing happiness for people, which is quite an interesting way of looking at it. I think it's a nice way of looking at it. We're going to go back a bit. We first met in 1993, and we mentioned a gentleman called Willie Bauer, who's come up on a number of my podcasts, because he had a lot of influence on me. And I know that your father actually worked with Willie at Trust House Forte.
Yes.
And then you worked for Willie at the Savoy.
At the Savoy in the late 80s, my first hospitality job. And Willie, I think, as I was listening to the David Shepherd podcast, and it's really, I think everybody says the same thing about Willie: inspirational human being, attention to detail, but a brutal, and probably in today's world, just couldn't
survive.
couldn't
He'd had so many Ritz a
yeah.
day, it would be unbelievable.
Yeah, it's absolutely it. But he taught me a lot, and my dad always tells this story of he phoned Willie up and said, my lad wants to come into hospitality, you've got 6 months to break him. So he stuck me in the kitchen in the grill room with a fairly mad French sous chef who on my second day kicked me into an oven. My first 2 weeks was on mint sauce,
Right.
so 16 hours a day, back in the day where you could work.
16 hours a day.
It was expected.
That's the norm,
how phrase it delicately. Just making mint sauce and coming home and sort of collapsing. I think I lost 1.5 stone in weight, and but it was an amazing experience, and I learned so much on the detail and why the detail was important, and that relentless customer focus.
Yeah, I learned that from him as well. I remember we'd moved from the Portland cabins into the clubhouse that is today, and this was probably about 1994, something like that by then. And every Saturday, I was obviously, because I looked after golf at Wentworth, I was going to be early DM on a Saturday and Sunday. You know, that everybody was there, it was early, wherever. And your DM shift you came in at 7, but you were always there before, and you kind of finished at 3 being DMs, but you were always there after. And Willie would always come in around about 1:30, 2 o'clock on the Saturday afternoon. And you go, he's going to find something. And he'd always be, this is not right, that's not right, whatever. And there's one particular day, and he went through the whole building. I was like, hasn't rung me yet. And he came in, and I was like, oh God, what's it going to be? What's it going to be? And he goes, that pencil wasn't sharpened in room 10. Getting better, and just walked out. I was like, yes, I'm getting there. But that resonated with me all the way through, you know, when I went to other places and tried to install that into others, because it was so important to me. But I remember one of the reasons that we met or we were introduced was golf, because obviously I looked after golf, and Willie didn't really know much about golf, apart from that's a tea time, it's like a bedroom, it's gone, can't sell it again, that was it kind of thing. And you have gone into golf, and actually you owned Manning's Heath for a while, and were actually looked after, and you were the general manager. Is that right?
That was my first job.
Okay.
When I went into I went to South Lodge as a sort of duty manager, which is a hotel right next to Manning's Heath. Yeah. Manning's Heath was a few miles. But then fairly quickly, a manager's vacancy came up. So my first sort of running a business within the family business was Manning's Heath, and I knew at the time I knew nothing about golf. So you were kind enough to help me out at the time.
Was that a good learning curve?
Yes, it was an amazing learning curve. I learned a lot because it was a members club. Yeah. I'm passionate about food and beverage. I'm passionate about attention to detail and all the customer journey. And one of the things I quickly learned was, so members, I remember the menu just wasn't fit for purpose. Yeah. And some of the seniors who I ended up getting on so well with, but they would have toast and fish paste every Thursday. It was kind of their thing, and I sort of went in a little bit like a bulldozer and tried to take their toast and fish paste off, and so I think you kind of learn how to really engage with people and probably a bit more patience on evolution. So in that menu example, what we started to do was realise we couldn't take it away because that was important to them, but then we started putting other better dishes on the menu, so they naturally migrated away from it. But it taught me, because membership, as you know, is so different. A hotel customer, they might stay 2 or 3 times a year. let's say, and you have a relationship with them, but a membership relationship is very different. Because for most people, if you're a member of a golf club or a spa, so we've got membership models as spas, it is a key part of their life, and they feel quite right.
Second home.
Yeah, but it's second home, and if you've done a good job, they feel like they have ownership of that. So your comms and engagement, how you keep them on side, because it's very quick in a membership environment for something to go wrong. In golf, there's a bit of slow play, or a bunker's always flooding, so it ruins, and it just happens to be they've got a hook and the ball always ends up in that. So you learn a lot about the detail that makes their experience work or not work. You learn that your comms, so it's fine to say no, but you have to say no in a very particular way. And I kind of, that whole Manning's Heath experience was really good, because it taught me, you know, I couldn't just go, oh no, we're not doing that. I'd end up very carefully in giving clarity on, it's a great idea, here's the reasons why we're not doing it at the moment. So I evolved with my language and my relationships of...
Yeah, and I think that probably why you're saying it's about happiness here as well, because, as we've said, membership going back day after the day, that's their happy place. And if you can create that in a hotel where they don't come back 2 or 3 times a year, but 6 or 7 times a year, that's bottom line success, isn't it? Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, that's really good. Kind of going to move forward to like Penny Hill Park as well, and so close to Wentworth, BMW Championship. Are you involved with that, Chairman? Do you look after some of the stars? Have you got some stories that you could tell us behind the scenes that you've had people stay?
Probably not. We've had the great and good, and we also have a Royal Berkshire Hotel,
yes, of course,
which is even closer. I mean, that's under a mile away. Yeah. You drive out the main gates of Wentworth and go straight on, and it's there. So both hotels. We've had all sorts of really interesting people stay. Vijay Singh back in the day, although he was interesting. Ernie Els, although he had a house, he stayed with us quite a lot. Greg Norman back in the day, going back a few years. So yes, we have. It's been interesting how it's evolved, though. A lot of the players now don't stay in hotels. They create almost a home environment and rent a home out in the area, or a lot, especially at Wentworth. Quite a few of them live.
Houses
houses
there.
At
home.
So it's evolved. So we tend to do more sponsors and that side of things now. So work with a lot of the Shishi brands.
Yeah, very cool. You also got the England rugby team at Penny Hill Park as well.
Yeah.
Has that driven business? Has that given you a bit of notoriety as well? Is that a good connection to have?
It's amazing connection. There's very few hotels, and we're not there yet. But if we were talking about Savoy, you say the Savoy, out of 1,000 people, 500 people are going to heard of the Savoy. What the rugby's done, particularly with Penny Hill, is give us a bit more brand recognition. When we first had the relationship, it was a hotel in Bagshot, and now they're at their home of Penny Hill Park, and that's been really, really good for us. And we do a lot.
Is it hard to service that? Because it's a very different dynamic to what you're normally trying to serve.
It's similar to a meeting in a bizarre kind of way, because there's intense periods where they're doing their thing. What is very different is the food. They eat 5,500 calories a day. Their requirements on specifics on nutrition and the balance of when they're having carbs, when they're having proteins. They're very protein heavy. The good stuff, the bad stuff. In fact, when we first had the relationship, which we got through Clive Woodward, and Clive did.
So it's quite a while then.
It originated in '99 World Cup. We had the New Zealand team, and we smashed it out of the park on delivery, and the RFU got to know that. Clive Woodward was just starting at that time, and his mantra was, I want to be the best team in the world. If they're staying at Penny Hill Park, I want to emulate that. He basically came and said, I want to come and stay with you guys, but as he was wont to do, he is an amazing human being, and his mantra was, I will demand a lot out of you, but I will also make sure it's a great relationship for you as well. And he basically came up and said, I want to stay with you, but you've got to build me a pitch. We shook hands on it. He then stayed, he did a test day, and going back to the food thing, he had a specific, he was quite enlightened because he was ahead of the time on food and diet, and he was no room service. I don't want any of the guys having room service because they'll then go away from the menus that we're curating, and he was trying to change their diets. And we had one of the better known rugby players of that era phoned down and said, asked room service for a sticky toffee pudding. And the room service gentleman politely said, I can drop his name, Mr. Delalio, you're not allowed to have a sticky toffee pudding. And he said, do you not know? He didn't quite say, do you not know who I am? He said, come on, do you not know? I just... And the guy refused. So we fed this back to Clive in a roundabout way. And that was one of the things he said, that's great. That's absolutely nailing it.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. The other thing, again, kind of golf and exclusive working. I mean, obviously you've got a fantastic facility here at the Manor House. Is that something that, but Manning's Heath is now no longer part of exclusive. So you're kind of looking at different ways of intertwining with golf, and it kind of, I know that you're looking at a Heathland opportunity as well, where you've combined with the Sunningdale, the Berkshire and Walton Heath as well, to be able to maybe drive Americans to come to Penny Hill Park and to the Royal Berkshire to play these Heathland courses, which are becoming more popular, I think, with Americans. Yeah, obviously still Scotland is massive, and they want to go there. But for those who've done that, maybe the pull of London and Heathland, especially in the pandemic, I think people had time to research those type of courses. And now with the top 100 becoming more and more prevalent, I think it's a great opportunity that you've highlighted to introduce Penny Hill Park as a mainstay of being able to play those Heathland courses.
That's absolutely. I mean, you look at the geography of Penny Hill and Royal Berkshire, and it is right in the middle of some of those iconic top 100 golf courses. So we and back to what we're saying, everyone's version of happiness is different. So we get groups coming, and we talk to them, and one night they want a Michelin starred meal, another night they want a barbecue, or take them to the local pub. So we can offer. We've got an amazing brasserie at Penny Hill. Royal Berkshire, we did an event recently where we just, for a group of golfers, had a barbecue on the terrace, and they, that's what they wanted. So I think in that specific, those packages we are in a sweet spot of location. We have the ability to give them what they want from a food and drink point of view, and we work with them to tailor it.
And the location to Gatwick and Heathrow as well. When they're flying in, it's easy to get to. It's not too far, and they feel relaxed for a 3 or 4, 5 day stay, really.
Yeah, all of our properties, although they're all in countryside and have amazing grounds in their own right, if you actually look, South Lodge is 15-20 minutes from Gatwick.
Yeah.
Penny Hill is 20, it depends on traffic, but 20 minutes from Heathrow.
Yeah.
Royal Berkshire's 20 minutes from Heathrow. Manor's really close to Bristol Airport. It's actually only an hour the other way from Heathrow.
Yeah.
So we really make sure that they're very accessible from a transport point of view.
It's so important that one of the reasons Lyle Anderson bought Loch Lomond was it was 20 minutes from Glasgow.
Yeah.
You know, and there was a direct flight in from New York. Perfect.
Yeah.
You know, literally we knew that Wall Street would come, leave work on a Thursday, hop on the red eye and be on the tee at 9 o'clock with a 20-minute drive. You know, it's perfect for them.
Well, one of my old mentors said there's only 3 things you need to do to have a successful hotel: location, location, location. So that's
exactly. But just going back to golf, Manning's Heath no longer an exclusive. Was that a decision because, or was it just a business that someone came along and wanted to buy it?
It was a tough decision. It was 3 miles from South Lodge, which isn't a long way, but from a customer journey point of view, if you look, we're at the Manor House today, we've got buggies parked out the front, we've got a big golf day going on, people are literally pulling up at the front of the hotel, they're going to stay here tonight, but they're buggying to the golf course.
It was a lovely touch that the buggies were there. They've got their corporate name on all the buggies as they drive in,
and their individual names.
Exactly.
Andy Ryan, who's the
he's brilliant, fantastic
director of golf, is just back to attention to detail.
Yeah.
Just amazing individual. So Manning's was really difficult, and we had a better golf offering here, and we have a good golf niche, so we do a lot of nice corporate golf days, charity days. We've got a good reputation for the golf course here, and the journey was slightly clunky, so we ended up selling it and investing in a spa, and that for that offering, that hotel, it worked. It doesn't mean we're not passionate about golf.
Yeah.
We're really passionate about golf. But if you can't do it really well, then...
it doesn't fit into your brand. I mean, it has to fit into the brand of creating happiness. Right?
100%. And also, when I look at it, the Manor is an amazing year-round course, which not a lot of courses are. It's on Brash, so it's free draining. And when a lot of courses around the UK are struggling, when it's raining or bucketing down, or so it actually just felt like a better proposition, and we have the ability. Every year we're redoing a hole here, and you know, golf is reinvesting, and golf's changing, right? Technologies change, so you've got to redo the a fairway bunker that was designed 30 years ago. It's no longer relevant. It's not in play anymore. If you look at it, agronomy's changed, and so we just felt that the whole infrastructure of the Manor was a better golfing proposition for us.
Oh, fascinating to hear. I mean, I look at it and I think, you know, with Americans going to Scotland, you know, and the green fees in Scotland, the opportunity for exclusive to maybe look at, you know, something in Scotland with those courses, you know, to add to that would be interesting.
You never know.
The other thing, going back to staff, and I'm a big fan of MasterChef, and I was one of the other times that we met when I first I kind of launched Club Inc. It was my company, consultancy company. We ran an event with Night Timber when they were just coming out, sort of I would say it was 2012, 2013, something like that. And we did it in the past at South Lodge. And it was really cool. And everybody a lot of people hadn't been before. And I was watching MasterChef, and supporting young Tom, is it, who
Yeah.
won?
Yeah.
And I just thought, that's a dedication. But then you look at what you're doing for your staff and how you try to empower them, but also push them to go on shows like that. I know his mum and dad are kind of involved with South Lodge as well, but I thought it was a wonderful story, and he really did very well, I thought.
Well, he won it.
He won.
He
won.
He's an amazing talent.
He did really well as a personality, I think.
He is genuinely the loveliest human being on the planet. And in fact, we've won MasterChef twice out at South Lodge.
Okay.
So Stephen Edwards, who's now got Etch in Brighton, he won it with us. We've had chefs. We've won the main course on GBM. We've won the pudding on Great British Menu. Sarah Franklin, who's our exec chef, was our pastry chef at Penny Hill, and we promoted her to exec chef. She came second in Bake Off the Professionals. She was robbed, but she really was robbed. But anyway, that's another story. Don't get me started. But I think Tom's story is one of the best because his parents. So his dad is exec chef.
Yeah.
His mum met. They both used to work here at the Manor House,
Okay.
and then we promoted Lewis to South Lodge, and Hayley, his wife, went with him. She was a 2 Michelin-starred pastry chef, worked at the Waterside Inn, and just, once again, lovely human being. And so they got married. They met at work within Exclusive. They had 3 amazing kids. Tom went into the kitchens from the age of 16. In fact, I've got a photo of his dad is a mad Bolton fan for his sins. And when Bolton were in the Premiership, I took him and Tom at 6 years of age, and my lad is the same age as Tom. So Luke, Tom, Lewis and I have got a photo of us 4 outside the Emirates Stadium. And so that's the...
Not Emirates,
no.
Being a massive Spurs fan, it's like, don't mention that word.
I've heard your podcast and I was waiting to drop that in, right? So he's grown up in the business, and you know, we backed him, and he came across just really well. So well, and it's such a lovely story for us because it's that whole, it's what, you know, back to values of the business. You care for your people. As you said, you invest in them. You help them to be the best that they can be. And he, when he won it, he then did a 3-month residency at South Lodge. I was very careful I wanted to move him to Lainston. He did a 3-month residency at Lainston because if you win MasterChef, your residencies just sell out. So we had 6 months of selling out, and during that process, we sat down with him and said, "Do you want your own restaurant? You're welcome to, do your own thing." But I think he trusted that we could back him. He can see, it takes a lot of backing to have a successful restaurant, and he knows the other Michelin-starred chefs. He wants to get a Michelin star. He's hungry for it, and so we invested hugely. In Lainston, we've used an amazing interior designer. He was part of that sort of working group to redesign the Avenue restaurant at Lainston. So it matches his food, and he's going to smash it out of the park.
Fantastic.
He's smashing it out of the park.
How old is he now?
It's 27. I might be a year out.
Yeah,
It'll probably,
scary, isn't it?
It'll probably kick me afterwards. But
it's brilliant. It's brilliant for the brand. But again, I think I was talking to Elliot Brown when we were playing golf the other day, who's just joined from the Grove to come and look after Exclusive as well. And so one of the things he was impressed with when he joined was that, after the pandemic, so many people were looking for chefs, but you'd kept all the chefs. Basically, you were ready to go. You weren't sort of scrabbling around. You knew that we were going to come out of the pandemic, and you wanted to come out stronger and healthier because you looked after your staff.
Yeah, and we made a really, there was a lot of businesses, hotels included, that didn't look after their staff during the pandemic.
Yeah.
We have a Chef's Academy program. So every year we take, it's normally 12, I shouldn't call them, but they're kids out of college. So they're level 2 or 3 qualified out of college. So they've done 2 years of chefing in a college environment, and we put them on a 2-year program. They get to go to Bricks and Fish Market, and then so they see the produce landed, they go on a boat, and then next day they do a fish masterclass with one of the chefs in the business. They go up to Yorkshire, go around the forced rhubarb factory. They then go in the MS with one of our food partners, Wellux. They then go in the MSK kitchen, which is this sort of binding agent that all these chefs use. They go mushroom foraging. Then, in fact, Lewis, who's Tom's dad, does a pasta making course, so they make mushroom ravioli. So it's a really, really heavily invested in course. But what that means now is we've been going for 10 years. We've got our first chefs that are becoming the manor. We've got a head chef in pastry. She came up through that, Lizzie, she came up through that course. So by investing in them, and loads leave, and that's great. That's so long as we're putting good people out into the industry. But also, if they leave and they've had an amazing experience, they're speaking really highly of us. So when we do have a vacancy, we put, I need a head chef for somewhere. We get loads of applications because people know that we've got high expectations, we're demanding, we have our kind of framework that we want to work with, so B Corp, and we obviously know what we want, but at the same time they will be looked after, backed. We're quite strict on hours and just making sure quality of life is considered. So it's a win all round.
So 40 years of exclusive. Another 40 years, is the family going to take over from you? Is it in the generation? Do you see?
Yeah,
it?
maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
Too early to say publicly.
But interested anyway.
I think so. I have to be my other brother's got two daughters. I've got 2 kids. They would all smash it out of the park, and it's open to all. So watch this space. Maybe in 10 years, if we do another one, I'll have an announcement, but not at this stage. I mean, that's the beauty of a family business. If you can, it's got so many positives. But if we can, I'm second generation. If I can hand it over to a third generation, I'd be really happy and proud.
Fantastic. Well, unlike that, Danny, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Love staying here at Exclusive. I would recommend it. The service, the food, just the setting was just fantastic last night. Cheers. Thank you very much indeed.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.